right now, somewhere in the world, an entrepreneur is paying a software developer in North America like $150,000 just to build a digital button.
Just to sell a $30 bouquet of dying plants, right?
Exactly. And welcome to the deep dive. You, our incredibly curious listener, have likely experienced this. The sheer cold sweat panic of realizing it is a major anniversary.
Or Mother's Day, and you totally forgot a gift.
Oh, yeah, the worst feeling. So you pull your phone out, you tap a glowing glass rectangle a few times, and 2 hours later, this pristine arrangement of orchids shows up at a door, basically saving your relationship.
Totally.
But what you probably don't think about while, wiping that panic sweat off your brow is the invisible, high-stakes digital machinery that actually makes that magic trick possible.
Right. Nobody thinks about the servers when they're buying flowers.
Exactly. So today, we are taking you behind the screen. We are dissecting what it actually takes to build a digital marketplace in a hyper-competitive landscape, and we're using the flower delivery industry in 2026 as our ultimate case study.
It really is the perfect lens to look through. Because on the surface, it sounds incredibly simple, right? You are just selling a plant.
Right.
But beneath that surface, building this kind of platform is a masterclass in behavioral economics, server architecture, and honestly, brutal real-world logistics.
Okay, let's unpack this because the numbers we are looking at in our source material are just staggering. We aren't talking about a quaint little local shop industry anymore.
Not at all.
The global flower delivery market was valued at $7.2 billion back in 2023, and it is currently hurtling toward $11.27 billion by 2030.
Yeah, it's riding a massive 9.8% compound annual growth rate through 2035.
But wait, I have to stop right there. Because we live in the era of Shopify and Wix,
Sure.
I can spin up a beautiful e-commerce website for $30 a month before my morning coffee even gets cold. Why on earth would a local florist pay tens of thousands of dollars to build a custom app from scratch?
Well, because an off-the-shelf Shopify template is phenomenal if you are selling, graphic t-shirts or coffee mugs.
Right, things that don't die.
Exactly. Things that can sit in a cardboard box in a warehouse for 6 months. But flowers are a literal ticking time bomb.
Wow.
They are highly perishable, highly fragile, and incredibly time-sensitive. A generic e-commerce platform simply does not have the architectural muscle to handle, like the hyper-local routing, the real-time delivery tracking, and the complex inventory management.
Because the product is actively dying while it's in transit.
Precisely. It's a completely different logistical game.
That makes total sense. And it ties directly into the mindset of the 2026 consumer, too. The sources make this crystal clear. Consumer behavior has shifted entirely toward fast, frictionless, last-minute gifting.
Absolutely. Zero patience.
Right. They don't just want the flowers. They want the entire cognitive load of the transaction erased. Like, they demand 2 taps, instant biometric payment, and real-time GPS tracking.
Yeah, so they can watch that delivery vehicle on a map exactly like they're tracking their dinner delivery. And you have to realize, the expectation baseline hasn't been set by other florists. It's been set by the biggest tech giants in the world. If a local shop's digital experience is clunky, the user bounces in like 3 seconds.
I think of it like this. A generic, poorly functioning delivery app is basically the digital equivalent of a dying, plastic-wrapped grocery store bouquet.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Nobody wants it. It says you didn't really try. The apps that actually survive right now are highly niche-focused. You have platforms specializing exclusively in luxury, imported exotics, or apps built entirely around corporate gifting.
Right, they have a razor-sharp identity.
Exactly.
What's fascinating here is how that demanding consumer behavior is forcing a massive shift in the underlying business strategy for the florist.
How so?
Well, historically, local florists have been trapped in this terrible economic arrangement. They basically bleed out their profit margins, paying massive commissions to third-party aggregator platforms.
Oh, you mean the legacy giants like Teleflora or 1-800-FLAP?
Yeah.
Because those aggregators are essentially just digital middlemen. They take the order online, they keep a huge slice of the revenue, and then they farm the actual hard labor of arranging and delivering the flowers out to a local mom-and-pop shop.
Precisely. So building and owning a custom app is how a florist builds an escape hatch. You cut out the middleman and reclaim your margin.
Right?
But even more importantly, this is the true currency of modern commerce, you own the customer data.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
When you sell through a third-party aggregator, the platform owns the relationship. You are just a nameless fulfillment center to them. But if you own the app, You own the behavioral data.
Hmm.
You know exactly who bought what and when.
The sources really hammer this point home. Like, if you own the app, you know that John buys peonies for his wife every single year on May 14th.
Exactly.
Which means on May 10th, your server automatically pushes a notification to John's phone saying, want to save the day again, tap here to reorder those peonies.
Right. You are no longer waiting for a sale. Your code is actively predicting and generating it.
That predictive capability is just a massive competitive edge.
It is, but it doesn't come cheap, which brings us to the core issue.
Right. If owning this digital storefront is the absolute key to escaping the middlemen in 2026, what is the actual price of admission? Because the source data reveals a massive development cost range.
It's a huge spread.
Yeah, starting at around $20,000 on the absolute low end and scaling violently upward to $150,000 or more. So what does this all mean? If I'm a founder and I only have that baseline 20 to 40 grand to spend, what am I actually getting? Am I just getting a broken, buggy piece of software?
No, not broken, just highly focused.
Yeah.
For that $20,000 to $40,000 range, which, by the way, takes about 2 to 3 months to build, you are getting an MVP.
A minimum viable product.
Exactly. It is a functional skeleton. You get secure user registration, a clean digital catalog, basic order placement, a payment gateway, and simple status updates like ordered, shipped, and delivered.
So nothing crazy.
Right, you don't get magic, but you get a digital storefront that works.
But if you want the magic, you enter the advanced or enterprise tier. The sources estimate that dropping $90,000 to $150,000 plus and investing 6 to 9 months of development time basically buys you a completely different machine.
Oh, completely.
You get AI-based recommendations, complex loyalty programs, multi-currency support, and real-time GPS tracking using Google Maps APIs. Now, for our listeners who aren't software engineers, an API and application programming interface is basically a digital translator, right?
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
It allows your little custom Flower app to securely ask Google's massive global satellites exactly where your delivery driver is without you having to build and launch your own satellite.
That is a perfect way to describe it. And integrating those external systems is where the complexity just skyrockets. Let's look at the real-world benchmarks from the sources.
Okay.
Take an app like Bloomsy Box. The estimated build cost is between $50,000 and $100,000. Their entire business model is subscription-based, weekly or monthly bouquets.
Right.
So the complexity isn't the visual design, it's the database architecture.
Right. Because what happens when a user decides to skip a month because they are going on vacation?
Exactly. When a user taps skip month, the server code has to dynamically pause the secure billing token with Stripe. It has to instantly recalculate the next valid delivery date based on the calendar.
Wow.
Then, it has to update the supply chain database so the local farmer knows not to cut those specific stems next Tuesday, all while adjusting the company's projected revenue dashboard.
That is wild.
That complex web of automated logic has to execute flawlessly in milliseconds.
And then you have a platform like Urban Stems, which the sources estimate at $60,000 to $120,000. Their priority is incredibly fast delivery of highly modern designs.
Right, the speed is everything for them.
Yeah, and to achieve that, the code has to solve what developers call the concurrency problem in real-time inventory. Imagine you have exactly one rare blue orchid left in a local warehouse. 2 different users on opposite sides of the city add that orchid to their cart and hit buy at the exact same millisecond.
Oh, this is a classic nightmare scenario. If you bought a cheap off-the-shelf template, you just sold the same flower twice, and you were about to have a very angry customer.
Right.
But a custom high-end database instantly locks that specific inventory row the microsecond the first ping hits the server. It processes the first transaction and instantly rejects the second one, flashing an out-of-stock message to the slower buyer.
And that level of bulletproof data synchronization requires brilliant engineers.
Exactly, which is why it costs 6 figures.
Which brings us to the heavyweights. An app like 1-800-Flowers is easily $80,000 to $150,000 plus, because they aren't just selling to one city.
No, they're global.
Right. They need massive server infrastructure for international delivery routing, handling dozens of currencies, and a complex system for gift add-ons, like ensuring a box of chocolates from a third-party vendor arrives in the exact same box as the flowers going to a completely different country.
Yeah, the logistics are mind-boggling. But the feature list only explains part of the cost equation. The true variable that dictates whether you spend $20,000 or $200,000 is where the person writing that code is sitting.
Ah, the geographical arbitrage of software development.
Exactly. The global cost map provided in the sources is striking. A single line of code written in a high-rise office in North America costs $80 to $150 an hour, which pushes total app costs into the stratosphere.
Right.
But that exact same line of code, functionally identical, written in a cafe in Lahore or a co-working space in Bangladesh, costs $20 to $50 an hour. That Asian market brings the exact same project down to a total cost of $20,000 to $80,000.
Okay, I am going to debate you on this one.
Bring it on.
If I am looking at a balance sheet and I see that I can build the exact same MVP app in Asia for a quarter of the price of building it in the US, why would anyone ever build locally? And please don't say time zones.
Well,
I mean, we live in the era of Slack, Jira, and asynchronous digital work. A 12-hour time difference shouldn't matter anymore if the talent is equal.
this raises an important question about how software is actually built. Because coding isn't just typing. It is highly collaborative problem solving.
Okay.
Yes, asynchronous work via Slack is fine for routine, predictable tasks. But software development is rarely predictable.
True.
When a payment gateway integration suddenly crashes the entire checkout sequence, a 12-hour delay isn't just an inconvenience. It completely stalls your entire production pipeline for a full day. You aren't just paying for the code, you are paying for the speed of the iteration cycle.
So it's a friction tax.
Exactly. And beyond time zones, there are massive cultural differences in user interface design and consumer expectations. What feels intuitive to a developer in one hemisphere might feel entirely foreign to a shopper in another.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, and that's where the sources specifically highlight regions like Australia and New Zealand. Their hourly rates are high, like $70 to $130 an hour, but they share strong cultural design overlaps with North America and are known for incredibly strict, reliable timelines.
So it's a safer bet.
Right. Paying a premium to ensure the project actually launches securely is often far cheaper than a delayed, culturally misaligned project that misses the crucial Valentine's Day rush.
But the sources also revealed a major tech hack, a way to slash costs regardless of where your developer lives. And it's called cross-platform development, using frameworks like React Native or Flutter.
Oh, this is a game changer.
Yeah. Right, because historically, if you wanted to capture the whole market, you had to hire one team to write a native iOS app using Apple's specific coding language, and a completely separate team to write a native Android app using Google's language.
Two separate code bases.
Double the development cost, double the headaches.
It was wildly inefficient. But cross-platform frameworks changed the entire economic model of app building.
Think of it like writing a best-selling book in English, but feeding it through a brilliant universal translator that instantly prints a perfect, flawless French copy for the Apple App Store and a perfect Spanish copy for the Google Play Store.
That's a brilliant analogy.
You only wrote the core logic once, but the Flutter framework translates it and wraps it natively for both operating systems. The sources state this single strategic choice can save you 40 to 50% in development effort compared to building two separate native apps.
It is the single most effective way to protect your budget during the initial build phase. It gets you to market twice as fast.
Okay, so let's play this out. I've been incredibly smart. I used the Flutter framework. I hired a brilliant, cost-effective team in Eastern Europe. We managed the time zones beautifully using agile sprints, and I launched a flawless, beautiful MVP app for exactly $35,000.
Okay, sounds good so far.
It is live on the store right now, but 3 months later, my florist shop is filing for bankruptcy. Why? Because the code was the cheap part, wasn't it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you just hit on the exact reason so many digital startups fail.
Yep.
The build that $35,000 you just spent is literally just the tip of the iceberg. The post-launch reality is where the brutal, hidden financial drain begins. The biggest problem, nobody knows your app exists.
Right. You have this beautiful digital storefront, but it's sitting in the middle of a dark desert. You have to literally buy your customers.
It's called customer acquisition cost, or CAC. The sources point out that the friction of convincing a human being to stop what they're doing, open an app store, download a piece of software, and trust it with their credit card is massive.
It's a huge ask.
It costs anywhere from $3 to $20+ in marketing spend just to acquire one single paying customer. You are paying for targeted social media ads, search engine optimization, and influencer campaigns.
Wow.
The industry recommendation is that 15 to 30% of your entire initial budget needs to be ring-fenced, locked away in a vault, strictly for marketing.
And wait, the financial bleeding gets worse. Because even when you successfully buy a customer and they place an order, you don't get to keep all their money.
Nope.
Apple and Google are essentially acting as digital landlords, and they charge steep rent. They take a 15 to 30% commission on in-app transactions.
And that is before we even factor in the reality of code decay.
Code decay.
Yeah, software is not a static object, it rots. Operating systems constantly update, Apple releases iOS 20, and suddenly your beautiful cross-platform checkout button just stops working.
Oh, man.
You have to pay developers to constantly patch, update, and maintain the app. The standard rule of thumb is that 15 to 20% of your initial development costs will be required every single year just to keep the lights on, squash bugs, and pay for cloud server hosting.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because everything we just discussed, server costs, Apple platform taxes, software maintenance, that is all purely digital friction.
Right.
But we are talking about a flower delivery app. We have to pivot to the physical reality of the product. The sources ask a very simple question. Why is floral delivery so incredibly expensive in the first place? And the answer is deeply poetic. It's because flowers are dying from the exact moment they are severed from the earth.
They are the ultimate perishable good. And this is where the digital code has to flawlessly integrate with brutal physical realities.
Yeah.
The app you build isn't just a digital menu. It has to act as a logistics command center.
Exactly. When a user taps buy on their screen, the code has to instantly coordinate the physical world. It has to trigger refrigerated storage protocols in a warehouse. It has to calculate the ambient temperature of a delivery truck in the middle of July. It has to factor in the careful manual handling of incredibly fragile glass vases. And it has to route incredibly fast last-mile delivery.
Because if the app's routing algorithm sends a driver into a massive traffic jam for 2 hours...
the product is ruined before it reaches the door.
Exactly. The code has to flawlessly manage the real-world movement of time-sensitive, highly delicate items, which means your back-end architecture has to be constantly talking to delivery drivers' GPS units, adjusting delivery windows on the fly, and ensuring the local fulfillment center actually has the physical capacity to arrange the stems before it confirms the sale to the user.
It's an incredibly complex symphony of data and diesel fuel.
It really is.
So let's synthesize this entire journey. Building a flower delivery app in 2026 isn't just a matter of throwing a bag of cash at a developer and hoping for the best.
Definitely not.
It is a massive, high-stakes sequence of strategic choices. You have to ruthlessly prioritize essential MVP features so you don't overbuild before you understand your customer's behavior.
Right.
You have to utilize smart architectural hacks like cross-platform frameworks to protect your capital. And you have to enter the project understanding the true objective. You are building a customized tool to escape the crushing commission fees of third-party middlemen, and you are building a vault to capture and own your own predictive customer data.
And for you listening, whether you are an entrepreneur sketching out your next big digital venture on a napkin, or you are just someone frantically ordering an anniversary bouquet from the back of a cab at the last minute.
We've all been there.
You can now see the matrix. You can see the invisible economic machinery, the global geographical arbitrage of developer networks, and the high-stakes cold chain logistics operating silently behind that one simple, easy little buy button.
You really can't look at it the same way again. But it also leaves us with one final kind of provocative thought to chew on. We've talked all about the intense constraints of this ecosystem, like the physical logistics of dying flowers and the heavy digital tax imposed by Apple and Google.
Right, the 30%.
So, think about this. If a local florist has to perfectly orchestrate the real-time movement of highly perishable goods, while also surrendering up to 30% of their digital revenue to App Store fees, how long is it until we see these small businesses abandoning traditional mobile apps entirely?
Oh, wow.
How long until they pivot purely to progressive web apps that bypass the App Store or even integrate directly into our smart home ecosystems? Imagine a world where your house just automatically orders your partner's favorite flowers for you every anniversary based on a calendar event directly from the local shop's server without an App Store ever getting a cut.
That would change everything.
The technology is already here. It's just a matter of who builds the bridge first. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.